yesterday. It's Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. We're all back as a whole. Bart Scott did a terrific job filling in for Key yesterday. Bart and
His Comrex didn't do a terrific job, though, Zubin. That's the only problem.
Technology, man. That's the way it goes. You happy to be back, Key?
I didn't go anywhere.
No, just for a day. Just for a day.
Somebody turn Key's mic on.
I think you're having a Bart Scott issue, I think. There you go. No, you're back. You're back in business.
He's back there. 1, 2, microphone check.
One,
turn my
two,
snare up.
1, 2, 3, microphone check.
Right. There you are.
I'm here.
So we were here at 5 a.m. We could have done a mic check. That's the last thing.
Well, we were talking. Well, no, we were fine. We were having conversations with one another, but I guess,
All right, so.
That's not us. It's not talent. It's the people in the back room.
All right, so everything good here? We're back.
Oh, yeah, we're good. We're rolling. Everything sounds great. Let's kick it off. What are we talking about?
Okay.
What did I miss? That's the key
a
question.
Whole lot.
Yes, that's the key question from Key. So let's just set it up like this.
I see what you did.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. So here we go. It's the off season, but the center of attention is always going to be under center. And I'm going to start with the guy that was the greatest on center ice. Wayne Gretzky once said this statement: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." In other words, put it on net, bro. You never know what could happen. And that's what we've seen in the NFL, and Russell Wilson is just the latest extension. Let's just run through it real quick. We'll get right to it. When the Bucs first called Tom Brady, everyone laughed. Everyone laughed. That's never going to happen. The Bucs are a downtrodden franchise, but the Bucs made the call. Brady liked what he heard. Now, I like this coach. We actually have some good young personnel here. Maybe I'll call Gronk. They went all in. People laughed, and look what happened on Super Bowl Sunday. When the Rams were looking to make a move, they called Aaron Rodgers and the Packers and said, "Hey, A-Rod available?" Obviously, the answer is no, but under the guise of Brady and the Bucs, make the call. What's the worst thing in the world that could happen, Keith?
Different, though, right? One guy's a free agent, one guy's under contract.
But it doesn't hurt in the Gretzky parlance here. Make a call.
Yeah.
Because if I would have told
Swing for
you,
the fences.
if I would have told you 72 hours ago, Russell Wilson would have came out and said, "Yeah, they probably do have some calls on me, and that's not really a question for me. That's a question for somebody else. And yeah, I've been sacked 394 times, and yeah, we need better protection." 72 hours ago, you may never have said, "Nah, man, that ain't coming out of Russ's mouth." But this Brady thing has caused everybody, Key, to reevaluate where you are as a franchise, or if you're a franchise quarterback. He went all in, and now everybody, contract regardless or not, is all in on both sides. This is fascinating.
It sounds that way, right? It does, and it sounds fascinating. But Russell Wilson and the Seahawks were fielding calls a year ago about Russell Wilson's availability.
But you would have scoffed at that a year ago. Oh,
I'm still to this day never. It's not. The situations are different. You gotta think about Brady's situation versus Russell Wilson versus Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford. Russell Wilson doesn't have major issues with Seattle. Seattle doesn't have major issues with Russell Wilson. These are fixable, right? It's they gave him the money that he wanted. Now all of a sudden he wants to dabble in a little bit of personnel decisions, which he should. Personnel decisions that directly affects his play. I don't need him talking about the defensive side of the ball. As a quarterback, yeah, if you want to talk about the running back or a couple receivers we may want to take a look at, or a tight end, I have no issues with that.
They're building the team
around the quarterback, or the quarterback coach, or the offensive coordinator. He should be allowed to have those conversations. I had those conversations, and I was a receiver when I played. So it's nothing taken away from that in Russell Wilson. I just think when you start to look at Carson Wentz, Jay, that's a different situation. Jared Goff fell out of love with Sean McVay. Sean McVay said to himself and Les Snead, "This dude is going to get us fired, man. Let's look for something that we think could potentially be an upgrade and go and get it." And I use the word potentially because we don't know. I know everybody loves Matthew Stafford and everybody at ESPN, and oh my God, Dan Orlovsky loves him because he knows him and he's going to jump on the table for him, which is fine. But in the end, he has to win a Super Bowl to pay that off. If he doesn't win a Super Bowl in Los Angeles, doesn't mean anything. Jared Goff led you to a Super Bowl, so you got to at least win the Super Bowl. So when you start to look at it, Jay, I get it. I understand that we are a society that go crazy the moment that an athlete says something.
Here's a narrative that I think is starting to build that I don't think fans are liking. And I am all for player empowerment. Key, we have used our platform multiple times to talk about players should use their microphone or use their voice to speak up about issues that they have internally that they want to address. But what I've seen happen over the last couple of weeks is, Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers saying, hey, I need to have more control, or I need to deal with the front office more. I've seen Deshaun Watson, I've seen his character take hits. If that's Dick Vermeil coming on our show saying, I'm disappointed in Deshaun Watson. I'm seeing Russell Wilson come out and say, hey, look, I would like to be involved in personnel decisions around skill positions, on the offense. Yes, I would. And I'm hearing people say, well, you got to handle those things internally. I think fans are about to get extremely uncomfortable, and I think it's starting to follow the NBA suit a little bit, Key, where you are going to have a certain faction of fans that are going to be turned off by the fact that these players feel like they warrant the power to dictate what happens internally in systems that are traditionally way more conservative in their approach.
Well, the
way more
conservative approach at that position is typically, it's been going on forever. White quarterbacks essentially, demanded certain things in trades and things of that nature, Jay, and we didn't hear about it as much. And so if the fans are turned off by the players demanding things because it's been conservative at that position, so what? Deshaun Watson happens to be black and Russell Wilson happens to be a black quarterback, so what? He should be allowed to have a conversation about the skill position players. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing. So if people don't want to watch football because these guys are not conservative as it should be or what it was in the past, we're in a different generation, man.
It's just fast. Yeah, we are. It's fascinating to me, right? Because it just different strokes for different folks. Because I'm watching Tom Brady get glorified for he made the right. He got out of New England. He got his way, and he got the kind of people around, and he got Leonard Fournette there, and he got Gronk there. And now
why are you changing your voice though?
It just happens when I get animated. Damn it! All I'm saying, it's just funny, different strokes for different folks. Then you have some players that are trying to do that in their own way, and yet they're being criticized for it. I just find it interesting.
The circumstances I started with Zubin earlier are different. One guy's a free agent, other guys are under contract. One guy is getting praised because the narrative is assuming that the reason these players outside of Gronkowski at AB went to Tampa because of Tom Brady. Jason Light is the general manager. Tom Brady had nothing to do with the free agents that he signed or the draft that he was put in place prior to that. The guy who was at quarterback a year ago threw 30 interceptions. All they needed to do was cut that down. If you go back to our early shows, first thing I said is cut down the mistakes and interceptions. You're going to go further throughout the course of the season. That is what Tom Brady was able to do. Leonard Fournette was a guy who was the fourth pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars, had some potential, ran into odds with management. They decided to move on from him. You look at Antonio Brown, he needed the only team that would take him would be Tom and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Gronkowski came out of retirement. Go ahead.
You don't think Tom had anything to do with getting those guys there? You don't think he was involved in those decisions?
AB and Gronkowski. But JPP was already there. Devin White was already there. They drafted Antoine Winfield. I doubt very seriously that Tom Brady sat in the room with Jason Light and said, I've looked at 500 safeties. This is the top safety. We should take him in the second round. I doubt that. The two guys that I would link to him would be Gronkowski along with AB. Outside of that, Christian Wirth, the left tackle that they selected out of Iowa, I don't think Tom Brady selected the left tackle. I think it was the management that did that. So, yes, a lot of great things come with Tom Brady because Tom Brady has been a Super Bowl winning quarterback 7 times in the National Football League. But when you look at it, that team was stacked already. The team was already stacked.
Last point I'll say about this, the two guys that Tom Brady selected only scored 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. It just works out that way, right?
Here's my last point. Look, man, here's the bottom line. After week 12, a 43-year-old quarterback that once lost track of downs said, we're changing everything. In Chicago, we on 4th down, 5th down, 3rd down. He said after the Week 12 loss to Kansas City, by the way, they never lost again, and then beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And by the way, beat Breeze, Rodgers, and Mahomes back to win the Super Bowl. He said, we need to simplify. Every other quarterback of Brady's ilk stood there. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, doubling down, heels dug in, and said, Bro, he's doing that. I'm doing that. And every other team that said we could have had Tom Brady, even though I know Key said, look, not everybody needed him. They said, let's take a swing. If I'm a quarterback, I'm taking a swing after watching Brady. If I'm a team, I'm taking a swing after watching the Bucs get Brady. That is not a coincidence. Today on Greeny, right after our show, Mike talks to Tony Dungy. That's our guy. And Brian Greasy. I told you, Jay. We're even our guys are not.
Don't do
all
it.
right.
Don't do
Greeny
it.
immediately following KJZ on ESPN Radio. On the way, another quarterback, another huge contract story. One Cowboys legend is waiting on Dak and says it's now or never for Dak to make a decision about Big D. We'll get to that after this word from CVS.
At CVS, we look for savings for you, from coupons to insurance coverage to lower cost options. Earn up to $50 in extra bucks each year just for filling prescriptions. Come in or call today for a free prescriptions saving review at CVS. That's healthier, made easier. Savings vary. Not all patients are eligible for savings. Ask pharmacist for details.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and